All over the world, there are abandoned train stations where time stands still, and ghosts wait for the train that never comes. If you love creepy stories between steel and mist, please subscribe to the channel to discover the next mysteries. Flinders Street Station, Australia's oldest train station, is said to carry the ghost of fisherman Ernest. He often fished on the Yarra River in the early 20th century and mysteriously disappeared, his body found floating in the river. Since then, the figure of a man wearing old fishing clothes often appears at platform 10, then disappears when anyone approaches. Night shift workers reported wet feet, a chill in the air, and the ancient clocks at the station kept malfunctioning, as if someone was secretly controlling time. Aldwych Station, an underground station that opened in 1907 and closed in 1994 due to lack of traffic, is now used only as a film set. Under the peeling bricks and rusty staircases, the atmosphere is heavy, as if imprisoned in time. During World War II, it served as a bomb shelter and storage area for artifacts from the British Museum. It is believed that the spirits of those who took refuge here still linger. Many witnesses said they heard voices, footsteps, and even saw the shadow of a woman dressed in ancient clothes disappear into the darkness, in the tunnels where the echoes never stopped. Begunkodor Station in West Bengal, India, carries a curse that dates back to 1967. The station master at the time said he saw a woman in a white sari walking along the tracks at night. A day later, he and his family were found mysteriously dead in the station. Fear spread, trains stopped coming, and the station was abandoned for decades. Even though it reopened in 2009, people still say they see white shadows gliding across the tracks every stormy night, and footsteps echoing across the cold platform. Hidden deep in the Ohio woods, the Moonville Tunnel is a 19th-century relic that once connected mining towns, now reduced to rotting bricks and a chilling atmosphere. Many workers have died here, including one crushed by a train while working. Since then, people say his spirit still holds a lantern and walks along the tunnel every night, the light flickering and then going out amid the sound of metal grinding on rails and the wind howling through the stone walls. Even though the train has been stopped for decades, the Moonville Tunnel still echoes with the sound of a train that never came. Gollenfield Junction in Scotland was the scene of a catastrophic train collision in 1953 that left many people dead. Since then, the station has been closed and silent, but people around the area say train whistles and the sound of metal clashing still echo in the foggy night. Shadows lurked around the platform, windows slammed shut, and the wind blew through the rusted rails like a wail from the past. No one dared to come near here after nightfall. Utterby Halt in Lincolnshire carries a sad story from 1953. When railway worker Jean Edward Lancaster died near the level crossing. Since then, people say his spirit still lingers here, wearing his old uniform, holding a lantern and walking along the railway tracks in the dark. Many people hear the train whistle in the air, see the lights sway, and then disappear as they get closer. Now, the station is left with only rotten wood, weeds, and a heavy feeling as if someone is watching every step. Trouble House Halt in Gloucestershire is a strange little station, opened in 1959 solely to serve the Trouble House Inn pub, which is famous for its haunted reputation. The area was prone to flooding, doors closed by themselves, floors vibrated, and the sound of invisible footsteps was unnerving. When the station closed in 1964, The owner sent a coffin filled with empty whiskey bottles on the last train as a farewell. Since then, people still say they hear the sound of trains echoing and doors banging at night, even though this place has been abandoned for a long time. Highgate Station in North London has been abandoned since 1970, but those who have entered say it has never been truly empty. In the dark tunnel, one hears echoing footsteps, distant women's screams, and occasionally glimpses a man in a trench coat who disappears when looking straight ahead. Even though the trains have been stopped for decades, Highgate is still the haunt of the underground system. Are you brave enough to visit this place at night? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to discover more haunted train stations. In the arid desert of South Australia, Marie's Station, built in 1883 and bustling for more than a century, is now reduced to rusting carriages and sand-covered tracks. Even though it closed in the 1,980 seconds, people can still hear the sound of iron wheels grinding on the rails and see a dark shadow looming in the cabin, exactly like the figure of the train driver who never leaves his post. Amid the desolate sands, Marie still echoes with the breath of a ghost train that never came. The New York-Pennsylvania line, nicknamed the Old and Weary, once the pride of the coal age, is now just a memory. Founded in 1880 and completely destroyed in 1957, this was the first major railroad in America to be dismantled without a trace. The rugged terrain of the Catskills made maintenance costs high, while demand for coal and passengers declined, forcing the line to disappear from the map. Today, in the middle of the green forest, only moss-covered gravel remains, a straight track without rails, where the train whistle has been forever silent. From the Catskills of America, we cross the Pyrenees of Europe where Canfranc, Titanic of the mountains, remains silent among wind and rock. In the middle of the Pyrenees, Canfranc Station stands like a Titanic between mountains, 240 meters long, with more than 300 windows and nearly 360 doors, and used to be a customs transit station between Spain and France. Opened in 1928, the international line was severed in 1970 after a derailment destroyed the French bridge. The place where trains, spies, and gold once intersected during World War II is now silent. Despite being restored as a hotel and museum, Canfranc remains like a giant stone ship, halfway between abandonment and revival. In the middle of the wild Patagonian steppe, the La Troquita Old Patagonian Express line weaves on a gauge of only 750 millimeters, stretching over 420 kilometers through windy sand and loneliness. The line, built in 1922, once ran through the wilderness, but by 1992, the writer Paul Theroux made it legendary in his book The Old Patagonian Express. But apart from the short tourist stretch at Esquel, most of the rails are rusted and buried deep in the sand, a fragile strip of steel, half real, half dreamlike in the cold southern wind. From the wild winds of Patagonia, the journey takes us to Detroit, where Michigan Central Station stands tall as a witness to the past when the tracks were lost. Once the transportation heart of Detroit, Michigan Central Station opened in 1913 with more than 200 trains per day. But as cars and planes took over, the station faded away. Amtrak left in 1988, and though Ford is restoring the building, the old tracks are gone, waterlogged and rusting. Today, the symbol is alive again, but the breath of steel remains silent. Leaving the silent America, we go to Asia, where the Burma Railway was built with sweat and blood. In the deep tropical jungle of Thailand and Myanmar, there is a railway built not with steel but with human blood and breath. That is the Burma Railway Death Railway, 415 kilometers long, forcibly built by Japan during World War II. More than 60,000 prisoners of war and 200,000 laborers were tortured by the sun, disease, and hunger, leaving more than 12,000 lives forever buried under the wooden sleepers. Today, the River Kwai Bridge still stands as a witness, but most of the route has been swallowed by the green forest. Where the sound of hammers once echoed, now there is only the sound of wind and the memories of souls that will never return. In the arid lands of New Mexico, where winds whip up dust incessantly, there once stood a railroad called the Belen Cutoff. The masterpiece curves the terrain with bold spiral tunnels. But with the advent of modern locomotives and the completion of the new BNSF double track in 2011, those curves were left behind, only a zigzag scar on satellite images. Amid the hot sand and scorching sun, there are still stone culverts, retaining walls, telegraph poles, the remnants of a great geometric problem fading in the Sunday. Leaving arid New Mexico, we arrive in England, where ancient stone bridges remain silent in the mist. In northern England, the settled Carlisle and Stainmore line, once a lifeline through mist-shrouded hills, is now reduced to solitary viaducts in the valleys. After the beaching cuts of the 1,960 seconds, the Stainmore and Eden Valley sections were abandoned. Bella Viaduct was dismantled in 1963, and the Smaردale Gill Viaduct and the Barras and Baru tunnels became moss-covered walkways. From northern England, the journey continues up to Scotland. The Waverley Route, half alive, half asleep. This is the scariest place in the top 9 railway lines above. If you feel so, please press the like button. The Waverley Route, connecting Edinburgh-Carlisle, opened in the mid-19th century and destroyed in 1,969 inches the beaching wave. Nearly half a century later, the northern section was reborn as the 35-mile Borders Railway to Tweedbank, while the other half still sleeps among moss and rusting milestones.